the network for the AV industry.
What are you listening to?
This
is AV.
This
is AVNation.
This is AVNation.
This is AVWeek, episode 139, recorded Saturday, April 19th, 2014. RTFM. AVWeek is brought to you by Middle Atlantic Products and their TechPed technology pedestals. Middle Atlantic Products. What great systems are built on.
Ready.
AVWeek.
Performing scan.
Week.
Online.
This is AVWeek. This is AV Week, your weekly wrap-up of audio-visual news and information. Good Saturday to you. Happy Easter, Good Friday, all that stuff. Happy Passover and such. My name is Tim Albright. I'm your host. With us this week, his name is Mike Faulkner. He is the Manager of Engineering Services at AVTexture. How are you, sir?
Doing well.
All right. Also with us, my favorite Crestron person in the whole wide world, because he's going to, I don't know. This is the guy that actually got me into Crestron, and that's a long story I'll tell you after a couple of beers.
I'm sorry.
His name's Kevin Iselli. He's the Senior Curriculum Developer at Crestron Electronics. How are you, sir?
Excellent. How are you?
Excellent. This week we're going to talk about a number of different things. Jeremy Burkhart is back in the AV business, so we'll muse over what that means. Microsoft's coming to town, Las Vegas, in about 2 months to InfoComm. We're going to talk about what we think they're going to do and bring and show us. And InfoComm International. Speaking of the show, they're actually going to be at another show this very next week. If you're listening to this sometime between the 19th and the 20-ish, 24th, 25th of April, they're going to be at a show in Washington, D.C. that's actually kind of cool, and we're going to talk about that a little bit. But first, thanks again to our sponsor, AVNation, brought to you by Middle Atlantic Products and their TechPed technology pedestals. Middle Atlantic Products, what great systems are built upon. All right, from our friends over at CE Pro and Julie Jacobson, who never let it be said that she can hold a secret, Jeremy Burkhart is launching Origin Acoustics. I joke with Julie because I love Julie. Burkhart apparently is hooking up with a couple of different people from Speakercraft. He's calling it Origin Acoustics. And here's the thing. This is what's interesting. A couple of weeks ago, Burkhart sent an email out apparently to the gentleman, the company that bought Speakercraft. And let's just say that he wasn't very nice didn't think highly of how they're running his company, or how he's running their old company. Basically, he says, I have decided to launch a new brand and will deliver the service and product Speakercraft once stood for. Yeah, so Jeremy's no stranger to mincing words. Let's start with this, guys. First of all, the speaker industry, the speaker market, we're not missing a whole lot. I mean, I don't mean to be flip, but a lot of companies carry speakers, right? And more than one manufacturer has told me, well, really there's only about 3 or 4 different factories around the world that really make speakers. So if you think of it in that way, you've got, Meyer, and you've got JBL and EV, and Crestron makes speakers, and Extron makes all these companies have speakers. So, Mike, we'll kick it off with you on this one. Exactly what is it that we think that Mr. Burkhart is going to bring to this already large market? Is he going to bring anything different, anything new?
To be honest with you, I'm not sure. We'll see what happens when it comes out. But I'm with you. Everybody's got their own speakers. A lot of it comes down to name recognition too, especially with clients. If the client doesn't know a speaker brand, to be honest with you, they don't really care. How many times I've had a client say, "Oh, is these Bose?" And so to me, it's another brand out there until I see and hear more than anything what they sound like.
All right, Mr. Speaker Manufacturer yourself, Kevin from Crestron. What do we think that Jeremy's going to bring to this market, or is he just going to bring his name and his chutzpah to a new company?
Well, it's hard to say. I mean, when you read the article, according to him, he's going to bring some really cool stuff. So, I mean, your definition of really cool stuff can be very different.
It's subjective.
Than others. Yeah, of course, it's subjective. Where I guess from a manufacturing standpoint comes in, is the moment we get our hands on the drivers, it's all about what we do with the electronics after that, crossovers and filtration and what we do to let's say shape the sound. So what could he bring? Not sure. He's got a decent team there, but I personally would say I'd like a little bit better definition than really cool stuff.
Yeah, the article was quoting one of the dealers who were invited. I believe it's in June, is when they're going to roll out some of their first products. So it will definitely be interesting. It'll be
because we need more speaker competition, of course.
Well, yeah, absolutely. So and more competition isn't necessarily a bad thing.
No, not at all.
All right, moving on.
Do we know what the company did that made him so mad?
You know what? We don't. That's the thing.
Okay.
And there's no telling. I mean, there really isn't any telling what exactly the old Speakercraft, the people who are running Speakercraft now did. There are all sorts of legal mumbo jumbo. Apparently, at one point they were quoting or they were claiming a legal documentation saying that he couldn't work anywhere else, and so they were trying to get him not to get hired anywhere, and and I'm sure that there are gag clauses somewhere where he can't exactly speak about what necessarily they did or didn't do. So yeah, it'll be interesting. Let's go from speakers to wireless mic systems, and the thing that kind of caught me, this Electrosonic is introducing a 256-bit encryption wireless mic system, and what caught me this was a couple different things. There's actually a story this week that we're gonna cover, and probably right after this one, about the FCC selling off and auctioning off more and more frequency. Kevin, let's kick it off with you on this one. Is this kind of where we're headed with encryption and digital transmission? Maybe something like 3G or 4G or something like that to get around the FCC getting rid of the rest of, where we've lived for 30 and 35 years. The FCC, in their infinite wisdom, continues to sell off our spaces. So is this kind of where we need to go with wireless mic systems? Is this sort of, encryption and digital I/O, or do we need to still maintain some sort of the 500, 600, 700 megahertz space?
Well, I think there's got to be a resolution to exactly what you said. I mean, the FCC, of course, is like slicing that pie up into smaller pieces, and we just seem to be losing ground on it. So I think it's time to get a little creative. In fact, you and I, Tim, had that conversation of, if only I knew somebody, or if only I had a patent on, why can't we just take this stuff and put it over IP? Because voice over IP is very simple. You can get much more density, you can get quality of service, but again, when you start getting into the pro world or even into performance, is it going to give you the quality you're looking for? That I haven't played with it because it's not out there really. But yeah, I mean, per this situation, when you start to lose ground or you start to lose the environment you live in, your only course of action is to try to make better what you have. Or make better what you have to use, and it seems like that's what they're doing here, making it more secure, giving the 256 encryption. Yeah, fantastic. It gives us, you don't have those bleed overs. You get more secure environments. You can use them in facilities and government where you don't want anybody tapping into your resource, especially in the wireless arena. So I think it's definitely a change in the positive, and I'd like to see it actually flourish pretty well.
Yeah. Mike, who are we? Who is Electrosonics aiming at here? Is it strictly government, or is it somebody else?
I don't think it's government. It's the high-end corporations. There's we do a lot of the encryption microphones in DC, not necessarily for government, but for government contractors, and sometimes of the corporations, the people that are trying to make sure that nobody's snooping in on everything. Their 128 version that they had out a few years back, we sold a bunch of those. Companies like it because they know they can change the encryption right away and move on with their meeting, and know that it's going to take a long time for somebody to decrypt something like that, and they feel safe about it. When it comes to the going Wi-Fi and the 802.11 blah blah blah, sure, the MXW, they're doing Dante over wireless, and so I see this starting to become more and more, popular with everybody. Does it help with the corporate buildings that are completely packed with way too many wireless access points already? No. Places are flooded. It's hard to find channels that are open. Things drop out. There's no real consensus when it comes to a building-wide wireless system. You get one company below the next, and they're stomping on somebody else's. To me, it becomes more of a problem.
Okay, so let's talk about this then. If you, because are you talking about putting Dante on its own network, or are you talking about putting it on the existing wireless network?
They have their own access point, and it broadcasts all of the microphones for their MXW wireless mics. We don't want to put it on somebody else's client's network or use it for anything else, because God forbid the mic drops out and then nobody will hear it. So
well, and that's what I was going to ask is if, and this is a big if, okay, so don't yell at me. If they're confident enough in their wireless system, couldn't you build in, I don't know if buffers is the right word, but it's the best one I've got. You build in buffers to where, maybe a microsecond or a tenth of a second, where it's constantly buffering that audio, and you still use their existing wireless. A number of companies, control companies and video, well, not video companies, but control companies are the best one I can think of right now. They have devices where, yes, you can purchase their access point, but you can also jump on the company's wireless as well, and still maintain that connectivity, and you get feedback and this, that, and the other. Would that make sense, or is that too complicated? Am I simplifying something that's too complicated?
I think with something that has to be real time, like a microphone, if it's going to a video conference, or if it's being recorded, or if it's going to an overflow room, or even just reinforced, if the delay becomes too much, people will not use it. They will just pick up their wired mic and go from there.
Yeah, that makes sense. All right, real quickly, we've got to mention. I'm just going to mention this, unless either of you want to comment on this. The FCC they are kind of they're looking at the rules for the Spectrum auction, and apparently, according to Ars Technica, they're putting rules in there where people like Verizon and Sprint and AT&T and the big boys would be prohibited from bidding on up to 1/3 of the auctioned off spectrum in a given area. So somebody like Shure or Sennheiser or, I don't know, Jeremy Burkhart could bid on the remaining spectrum, and maybe gift it to the AV industry. I don't know. This is from EE Times, and it's I'll tell you what, EE Times is one of those blogs that I'll read from time to time just to get stories, and this is one that I'm kind of glad, especially with Kevin being on. So here's the deal. There's a company out there that's working on a bit reducer, and the way, and I don't understand how they're doing it, so don't expect me to
Magic.
Huh? Magic, yeah. But I saw this and I read this article, and I'm immediately thinking of some of my DM classes, my digital media classes, where Mr. Iselli here has thoroughly taught me everything that I know about DM and digital video. he goes about an hour at least talking about the ones and zeros and how doing deep color and this, that, and the other is bit prohibitive, and doing 4K is getting more and more, especially over longer distances. So, Mr. Iselli, Mr. DM trainer, is something like this? Are we going to have to do something like this where we're taking the ones and zeros and crunching them down even further to get 4K, because everybody's talking about 4K, to get it to go over DM and get it to go over the twisted pair solutions, or even get it to go over, honestly, HDMI 2.0 farther than maybe 5 or 6 feet?
The short answer would be yes.
Okay.
We have to be more creative. I mean, we're looking at, when we look at some of the numbers and we crunch out some of the numbers, it's, we're pushing the limits of the physical nature of copper and our infrastructure. Something has to be done. It's pretty simple. How we get there, maybe this is a step in the right direction. I mean, we look with Valens and HD-based T, which is the technology that we use. We're knocking on the door of its upper limitations as well. So,
and that's just a 1080p, right?
Oh no! I mean, even at 4K, we're getting pretty close to the threshold of what this stuff is capable of doing. So, yeah, for evolution's sake, if you will, to get those next jumps, we'll see. But technology definitely has to make an advancement again.
Is it? I was going to say, is it one of those things where because you mentioned the limitations of copper? Because I know fiber can go farther, right? And you can technically do more with the light. Does that have the same limitations, or are we pushing those limits with the fiber, or does that have a little bit more buffer room?
Well, there's a little bit more buffer there because of the nature of optics. We can get some pretty high speeds out of it. I think I believe we had this conversation. I mean, we're talking about even in the broadcast industry, they're facing challenges of when you take that camera that's supposed to be capturing that 4K or the rumors of 8K, if you will. That's an absolutely astonishing amount of data that has to go from that CMOS or that pickup device and get converted into a file, or even a frame. And I've heard some rumors that they're looking at optical sensors even in cameras that will, get into the excess of a terabit per second. But I mean, if you think of it the way, the directionality of how this is going and how it's taxing our infrastructure, we have no choice but to go there because, the demand for higher resolution is crushing down around us. I mean, look at how fast we had to, we're not reacting. This is a product we've been working on for a number of years, actually, but doing 4K through copper is, it definitely takes a little bit of skill set, which is why, the guys in 22 or the engineering building, if you will, they work tirelessly. I mean, before we started, I showed you the cards. I just got some 4K cards that I'm going to run through and test. And I'll tell you, I talk with these guys all the time, and it's just amazing how much thought and how much process goes into getting a signal from point to point. It sounds like the easiest thing to do, but it's really not. There's a lot of challenges that go along with it, and it's. I quote, let's say the head guy Justin. He goes, "Imagine we just turned the clock back to 2009. That's about what we're facing.
Oh wow.
With the changes in technology. So, just caution to the wind. Is it possible? Absolutely. What's the next evolutionary step? I think it's going to be more. We have to be more creative. We have to come up with better front-end products like what Frusia's doing here. Even some change the compression. There's HEVC and 265. I mean, these are definitely directions we need to look at.
Yeah, absolutely. And you mentioned broadcast, and that was one of the conversations I had with some guys that went to NAB was, is there anything seriously about, in a serious nature, doing live broadcast in 4K? And there really wasn't. I mean, there was a handful of cameras out there, and there was a handful of solutions, but most of it was all capture.
It's all capture and post, yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, when you're still looking at the content. I know through YouTube, there's a number of pieces that you can download for 4K. My favorite is the cute puppy race. I mean, 2 minutes and 44 seconds, but I could just watch that for 2 minutes and 5 seconds, maybe. But again, the content is still, it's got to be developed.
Yeah.
I mean, it's the chicken and the egg thing. We've had this conversation. There's
Many
no
times.
content. Oh yeah, there's content. You can upscale everything. You know how you feel about that. For upscaling, I mean, upscaling is definitely, you can't create out of nothing.
Hey, you can get Ghostbusters in 4K.
No, you actually can't.
Yes, it says 4K.
No, it says mastered in 4K. It is a 1080p output, and it's just what they took the content from.
Okay, if you say it says 4K on the box.
It says mastered in 4K. There's a whole bunch of those.
I know.
Please read the box.
I know.
Read the back of the box too.
I know. I do that to tease. All right, Mike. How does this affect guys like you and me, integrators in the field that either the client is saying, "I want this," you have one small closet, it's 250 feet away from all my displays, and I want 4K. So, Mr. Faulkner, how are you going to get there? I mean, is it something like this, or is it like we were talking about? Because Kevin's not kidding here. We are pushing the limits here. So, how are we going to get there? Is it something like this, or is it something else?
I think this is absolutely the step in the right direction, and I actually wouldn't be surprised if there were other companies that are going to start coming out with compression systems like this. Working it for internal companies right now, I don't see it exploding that much, but I really think is going to be the content providers, the DirecTVs, the Comcasts, all of the cable companies. They need to get 4K to your house and to the other buildings, and they only have so much. You have I see a hand. Yes, sir. Can I help
4K to the house, huh? Can we get 1080p first?
Yeah, right.
Well, yes.
Well,
to bring up kind of fine point that what Tim was talking about. I mean, you're talking about 250 or 300 feet, or you're looking at a technology here, and we've come out and even said this. What's scaring us the most is a lot of people are taking the technology, or they're copying and pasting from Valens, which of course they're the founders of the HD Base T Alliance, if you will. And Valens says that we can do 100 meters at 4K with this special cable, and quite honestly, guys, we have that cable, and it doesn't work. We've been able to successfully get 70 meters out of it, and that's maintaining their test criteria. We go a little bit further, of course. Crestron always wants to make sure for you and the end user that they're getting the best experience possible. So we use the HDMI specification, which basically, in short, I would say you're allowed to have no more than one error per billion bits transmitted. Okay. Now, when you start doing that math, that escalates very quickly. You take a 1080p signal at 60 hertz, and a billion bits happens just about every quarter of a second, right? So every 20 frames, you've passed a billion bits. Now, take that to 4K.
Yeah.
Right? Now, we got 4 times the resolution, 4 times the bits, if you will, or not 4 times the bits, 4 times the pixels. You're going to hit that threshold much quicker. And to us, making sure that the system works means that we're supplying you with the more stringent testing protocol, and that happens in this case to be HDMI.
Okay, so let me extrapolate out of that then. Should there then be fewer than one error per billion bit? I mean, are we talking about one error per 500 billion bits or something like that?
Well, understand that when we're talking an error per billion bits is with how it's encoded, with TMDS, how they encode the 8-bit, 10-bit, you're looking at a 10-bit word versus just your 8-bit format. And into that is built like a singular bit error correction. So think of it like the old the alpha for military. you set a word to represent a letter. And if you missed part of that word, you could still understand what the letter was because no word sounded the same as any other letter. So they did the same thing. 8-bit, 10-bit encoding is not anything new to the industry. But what it does for us is if I miss a bit out of that word, I still know what that word is.
Okay, so we're not like dropping pixels or something like that.
Correct. Not at that point. When you start to get lots of bits, or bit errors, if you will, you gain into that threshold of having, as we all called it, the sparkling video, right? Where in the darker fields you see those little white pops with the little white pixels, and then of course the next step, nothing, right? So there is a 3-mode, if you will, of operation. You got as good as it's going to get. You got some data rate integrity where you're getting some sparkling video, and then you've got no video at all. So, you got 3 choices. Pick one.
Pick me.
Yeah, exactly.
Good night. All right. All right. Well, we're gonna take a quick break here. Mike Faulkner is here from Avitexture, as well as Kevin Iselli from Crestron Electronics. This is the point of the show where we thankfully and happily thank our sponsor. AVNation is sponsored by Middle Atlantic Products, and give me a second here while I bring up their pretty little webpage. This is something that's kind of cool that we worked out a deal with them and their TechPed product here. Basically, what you've got is what they did with their credenzas. They've done with a conference room table. Honestly, Kevin's showing me his Middle Atlantic product invoice or backing slip or something.
Yep.
You've got all kinds of options. You've got wire mold, power, all sorts of stuff. Basically, and I'm showing you here if you're watching the video, it's got a demonstration of how they make it. Basically, we got 2 pedestals. They also have a single pedestal version for like huddle rooms, but the one they're showing on the website here has the 2 legs. Inside those legs, you've got racks, and then you put the table on top. The cable poke through comes through, so you can pull cables out of them, and then you put the table on. You put the coverings on the table, and bada bing, bada boom, you have a pretty little conference room table that, oh yeah, by the way, has racks built into them. So that's kind of freaking cool. Actually, I did a job this week where I've waited for 3 months for this custom millwork, and had I known about this product 3 months ago, I would have suggested they used it, because what they got for 3 months and however much they spent for it, it was not worth it. So they should have done this. The Middle Atlantic TechPed product. Check it out if you would, please. MiddleAtlantic.com/AVNation-TechPed. MiddleAtlantic.com/AVNation-HeckPed. Good Lord, I can't speak this morning. -TechPed. Middle Atlantic Products. What great systems are built upon. Good night. It's Saturday, and I don't know. I can't talk today, I guess. So,
I have to say, those guys are great.
They are.
We do a lot of work with them. I actually have an RDR in my house for running for all my stuff, and that thing is just fantastic.
Is that what that rack that with all your stuff in it?
No, that's actually just a rack that I'm putting stuff in. The house, literally my gear that's for my house is in one of the residential design racks. The assembly was just unlike nothing I've ever seen. Fantastic.
Very cool. All right, let's go to Electronic House. 10 million connected smart home appliances are expected by 2017. 10 million. And, all 3 of us probably have at least one of those million in our house.
Nope.
No, you don't have any internet-connected smart home appliances at all?
Absolutely not.
You don't have an iPad?
Well, it depends on what you mean by smart
That's
appliances.
exactly it, see?
Are my TVs connected to the internet? No.
Can they be, though?
Sure.
Okay.
I don't need a 12th way to watch Netflix.
That's very valid. I do need another way to watch Amazon Prime, and if the Apple guys could get on that would be lovely. Thank you. If I could get,
I've got a few devices that do it.
Really?
And it's my wife, of all people, who is the test bed, because she chooses which interface she likes the most to be able to watch Netflix.
Okay.
Some of them are better than the others, and the TV one, and I'm not going to mention the manufacturer, It's not that great to interface with.
The interface isn't, that's actually why I cut Hulu Plus, because none of the interfaces were all that great. The Roku one was not all that hot, and the Xbox interface, it was horrible. And so whatever. I've got Netflix and Amazon Prime, and at the Apple TV. The guys that develop for that have really come a long way, and there are a number of different apps and channels on that one, and obviously the Roku one has, good Lord, a bazillion different channels, everything from, you can watch Sky News and the BBC Live to obviously Netflix and other stuff. So, but here's the question for you guys: stuff like this, this Internet of Things thing, these connected devices, are they going to help? Or are they going to hurt the automation business, the Pro AV business? I mean, is this one of those things where all of these devices connected together, yay, awesome, groovy, everything from the Nest to your refrigerator, and it just gives guys like Mike and me, your customers, Kevin, more things to gather information from and make it a really cool experience? Or is it going to be, hey, I have these devices, I don't need, an automation system. I don't need a control system because I have all these devices, all of these, all my handy dandy little apps. Which is it going to be? Are these going to hurt us, or are these going to help the AV industry?
I have to say that's I don't want to call it a trick question.
Okay.
But it's one of those fine questions, to walk a line. When I think back to when my wife and I moved, we were looking for a washer and dryer, and I'm looking at all these washers, we're going to all the big box houses, and the absolute childlike excitement that filled me, just spilled over, when I got a hold of, there was a GE, and won't forget, there was a GE, and on the back of it was a DB9.
What?
And I'm pointing at this thing going, this is the one we're getting. We're getting this one. And, of course, it wasn't in the right color, right, because it wasn't in red. So she said, why do you want that one? I said, because I can talk to it. And I already had the graphics on the touch panel of showing it spinning the wash. I had everything all laid out in my head, and we ended up getting the red one. So it just sits there and doesn't talk to anybody.
So I have to ask, what are you expecting to get from your washing machine?
I don't care.
Okay.
I want to know.
Okay.
Spin cycle, what it's doing, how much suds. I don't care.
You get a text every time it goes into the spin cycle. Oh,
absolutely.
Good. I'm almost done. Yay.
Almost done, right? Finish up that last pork slider and get home and unload the washer. I think that, like what you were saying, Tim, with multiple apps, I'm not a fan. I'm not a fan of having an app for every single appliance, or having something that you have to go in, close this one, get into that one. Oh, you want to change the channel? You got to close that app, get into this app. It just becomes very convoluted, and I think that actually elevates the necessity or elevates the awareness of the integrator, right? Like Mike can take a system and completely integrate it into one interface or one app that all they're doing is opening and having control of everything all at a fingertip. Do I think it's a great idea to do smart devices? Yeah, it provides that cool factor. But I think it's more necessary now more than ever that custom integrator is there to take all of those devices and bring it down into one location. Yeah. So I think it's a benefit having more and more of these devices do this. I mean, we've got relationships with Bosch and some of the other folks that make these devices. We have modules for them and everything, and that's great. I mean, it's not going to tell you your milk went sour, right? But it definitely will. It gives you feedback of what the devices are doing.
No,
the information is great.
One of the cool things, and I kind of poked fun at you guys when this happened. It was a press release, good Lord, 6-9 months ago, and it was some stove. It was a high-end stove somewhere. I can't think of the name of the manufacturer, but I looked at that and I like, Great, I can control my stove now. Okay.
Heck yeah. You can sit there and bump up the temperature on your app.
If I leave the burner on, then yeah, yes. But I can.
That's a really good point.
It's a very good point. Yeah. So Mike, to Kevin's point, all these things, kind of in the ether there, that helps us. I mean, it does it not? Where we can go in now and say we can take your 20 apps and turn them into one Crestron app or one control app.
Correct, provided they release the API. Just saying.
I have no control of that.
Yeah, I know. I think it's fun. I think it's a doorway for the middle class to start having these automated homes, not the rich guy who lives in his big house that, I want everything automated. Well, what would you like? I don't know. Now, housewives are shopping for the refrigerator that goes out to the internet and sees, I'm out of milk. Oh, this one's on sale. Get the coupon. I think that's kind of cool. Don't necessarily need the NSA to find out that I'm out of milk and send me an email, but
or tell you that your milk consumption is alarming.
Right.
Or you use raw milk, you're in trouble.
Yeah, that would be really bad. With all these different devices, again, I commented about the washing machine. There's some things that I really don't care, but HVAC, I do think the stove is a good idea to make sure it turns off. Integrate with your lighting and everything else that's in the house. I like it. I don't know. It's a cool concept. More things are coming out with it. The umpteen amount of apps is hindering people from buying this. I think we should step up the integrator getting into the middle class homes. I think it's a great idea.
Yeah, absolutely. That's something that I don't know who wrote a piece the other month or so ago about the middle class, about that middle market, and how it's become it's seemingly difficult to get in there. But I think
before
things,
we started. Sorry, Tim.
Yeah, that's right. I was gonna say that stuff like this is going to help that. No.
Mm-hmm.
Absolutely. I mean, before we started, we were talking about the RMC 3.
Yes. Yeah.
That small processor that has all the connectivity you would want. I mean, now expandable, of course, for the number of devices. But you take that very cost-effective device, and now all of a sudden, it's the brain center of your entire home.
Yeah, I mean, you could take an RMC and you could control a 30-story building. I mean that.
No, we discussed that.
I don't see why not. I mean, that's.
Of course you
It's
don't.
got a Core 3. Oh, moving on. Wow, very well done. Microsoft is bringing a data culture to the Internet of Things. Speaking of the Internet of Things, they've got a number of things going on, and I wanted to bring this in just to talk about Microsoft for a second in general. Looking over the Infocom floor plan, the Infocom show 2014 in Las Vegas, Nevada.
Big booth.
Huh?
Big booth.
Big booth. In the opposite.
Bigger than ours.
Slightly bigger than yours.
Really?
Slightly. Well, here let's bring up the old Infocom.
I think they're 100 by 100.
I don't think they're that big.
Yeah. Because we're like 100 by 90, I believe.
Yeah, you guys are 100 by 90. I don't think that they're that big. Hang on.
They're bigger than us. They have the biggest booth.
See, hang on.
They have the biggest booth.
I'm sure they do.
Make a lot of money.
I'm
Yes,
sure
they
do. They make more money than you guys do. Just saying.
They make more money than money's made.
Well, this is true.
Yeah.
All right, so let's go to the Crestron booth.
You'll be able to do this in June. We'll pace it off.
I don't want to do it in June. I want to do it now.
Okay.
Okay, so you guys are booth C7008. So there it is. 100 by 90.
Well, it's like Kevin knew that or something.
80
It's almost
by
like I said that.
80 by 130. That's what it was.
80 by 130. Yeah.
Okay, so I remembered the 90 being in here. So yeah, you guys are 9,000 square feet. They are 10,400 square feet. So yes, they are a bigger. Shut up, Kevin. All
But
right.
as I understand, it's not the size; it's what you pack into it.
Well, that is what I understand. So,
Yes.
nice segue, by the way, because here's the question: what are they going to pack into it? What are they bringing to Infocom? And if you know officially and can't say, that's fine, Mr. Iselli. But if you know and can say, that's Ruby too. Or if you guys just want to pontificate, here's what I think, at least, based on a couple of different articles and things where they're going. They're going to bring this whole home and corporate boardroom automation thing together. They're not that they're going to try to be Crestron or AMX or anybody, but I have a feeling that things like Link and things like the Xbox One, where they're trying to be, the center hub of your entertainment world, will definitely be on display there. So those are my 2 cents. Kevin, we'll kick it off with you in this one. What do you think Microsoft will be packing into their 10,000 square foot booth?
Crestron.
I didn't say what do you hope. I said what do you think?
Well, I mean, with the launch of our Smart Space and Crestron RL, that is a Link system, right? We've been partners with Microsoft for a number of years. They're one of the largest deployments of Fusion there is in the world. I actually don't. If I knew, I would tell you maybe. But I actually don't know what they're planning. I think it's a great reason for them to be there. I showed you a picture that said Converge. Mm-hmm. Okay, and we've been talking for years and years and years, let's say, about convergence of AV and IT, and Microsoft being, of course, the pinnacle of let's call it the IT industry, if you will, is making their appearance at Infocom. Tim, do you remember the date of that picture that I sent you?
I want to say it was 2001 or 2003.
Yeah, it was 2003.
Yeah.
So for over 10 years, Crestron has been bringing to market the name, or the mantra of convergence, of that these industries are melding together. Hopefully, after 10 plus years of saying this, with the presence of Microsoft, people are going to say, I think these industries are merging together. And like I said, I can't tell you for sure what they're going to do because I just don't know. But is it going to be probably what you have depicted of having Link and RL? Absolutely. Crestron, we are a Link facility. We're federated with a number of our integrators and such. So it's a fantastic product. I mean, I use it every day for communication, not only to my peers, but even outside. And meetings, doing meetings like we do, our RL rooms that we have across all of the Crestron offices. Mm-hmm. Again, I'm excited about seeing them there.
Yeah, I am too. Mike, from your standpoint, what do you think? Microsoft's going to bring to Infocom this year?
I mean, obviously, Link, is going to be huge. I think they're also going to try and push how their Office product is going to be able to expand and integrate with these conference rooms. I'm not exactly sure anything past that. They're going to surprise us, though. I mean, that's for sure. Building a booth that big, they're going to have something big to show off. I can only guess, though.
I hope they just have one product in the very dead center and like a spotlight on top of it.
Yeah, 5 foot square.
Yeah, 5 foot square.
30 people on Segways driving around it.
Yes,
that'd be awesome.
With submachine guns, you shall not pass type things.
Yeah.
All right. As we wrap up here, a couple things. First of all, kudos to our fellow panelist here, Kevin Iselli. SCN has named Crestron one of the top manufacturers in best customer training and support. You guys got the award.
Here.
Not only for the closest thing to teleportation for your fast
I like
shipping
that one.
And freight policy, but also as well as the frequent buyer smiles, the best dealer rewards, spiff, co-op, dollar dealers, etc., trips, and so on and so forth. First question is, and Kevin, I'll let you end up on this one. So, Mike, this will go to you first. Not only Crestron, but a number of different companies. Biamp was on there. Middle Atlantic, our wonderful sponsor. Vadio. How do these companies continue to do it? How do they continue to keep delivering? No pun intended with Crestron's award, but how do they keep delivering the service that not only dealers like you and me expect and need, but also the end user? How do they keep satisfying us day in and day out?
It's a big investment, and a lot of these companies, even Extron has had their S3 support, I think is what it was called, and I was told many, many years ago when your phone call hits more than 3 rings, an alarm goes off. They really want to make sure that we as integrators are taken care of, and that means we're going to push their product, and then that means the client is going to like the product and want to come back for it. Crestron, you guys your training is fantastic. We go every year to the master's course, and it always gives us more ideas. It's a big geek fest. We all love it because we get to come from all different parts of the country, even the world, and sit around and talk about, oh, I did this cool thing and then this cool thing. And with Biamp, not just the support. I wanted to bring up their training. Every single service tech we get, all of the new guys that come in, we send them to the Biamp training because it's not just a good class on their product, but they actually teach good fundamentals of audio. So it's good best practices, things like that. I love it. It's fantastic to have. These companies focus on the service to us. We then push their product, and it matters.
Yeah. All right, Mr. Iselli, how do you guys continue to deliver the service that you guys do? And is it a culture thing? Is it from the top down from Mr. Feldstein and Randy? I mean, how do you guys continue to do it?
Wow, it's a lot of work. I just got back from Boston yesterday, and I was in a class. I did a class there, and I'm bringing this up because it kind of helps. There was a student that wanted a little bit more out of the class than what his anticipation was, and this isn't calling the studio. This is actually a plea, if you will, to the industry. I mean, we're such a small community, and we sometimes we get a little complacent, or we take for granted what people know or what people don't know, or we sometimes forget maybe the stepping stones to get there. And Tim, you and I have had this conversation many times, and I pose this class in I pose this question in every single class. Raise your hand when you had tell me the year that you got your master's in AV integration. None of us actually go to school for this. We kind of wind up here through an interest, a spark, a desire, something that fascinates us. How do we do it every year? I rely very heavily on the feedback of the people that are sitting in the chairs in my class. I mean, again, I am not sitting where you're at this point, and that's not a horrible thing, but what I mean is I don't know where your experience level lies. I need from you what exactly it is that Crestron can do, or any manufacturer will do the same thing. What is it that we can do to provide you with the skills you need, as I call it, for survival? We talk about the classes that Crestron offers even for training, and my DM classes that I maintain. I'm on like my 9th revision of the class, and it's only been out there for 4.5 years. It's an evolutionary process. We have to keep up to date. We have to keep moving, and that goes the same thing even with support. as Crestron, let's say, grows, and as we provide more products that are the wonderful integrators that we have or that we've partnered with keep using, it builds more of a service model for us. We have to do better. We have to take care of our client base better, and it's not without challenges. And I think how does that come to play is it has to involve everybody. For example, I talk with the guys in tech support all the time, because if I don't know the challenges that they're seeing from you guys that are, let's say, if you will, the integrators as installing, if I don't know the common challenges that they see, I don't know that that's an area that I need to ramp up education on, right? So how do we do it? With a lot of work, and it doesn't always just click into place. There's a lot of things that we'll do and have to modify or adjust, but it's all part of growth, and hopefully, we continue to strive for excellence. I'd like to be, I like that list that you sent out. I'd like us to be there in every single category. It's an insurmountable task that we try to take on every single day.
Let me just say something real quick. Yeah. There's nothing worse than when you call up a support line and you're hearing the guy or he's reading the manual to you.
Yeah.
Because most of us, we've already gone through the manual, at least the ones that are worth a salt. We've read the manual, RTFM. We've read the manual, and now we're calling because we are past the problem. Or I've even called, Crestron, just perfect example. I've called up and said, look, I know this is crazy. I just need somebody to talk this through. And when you have guys on the other line going, okay, go, shoot, what do you think? And I'm going through the steps of everything that I've troubleshooted. Okay, I've done this, I've done this, I've done this. When you're under pressure and you don't have, a perfect example, my government agencies, they don't have internet access for me. I just need somebody to bounce off, like, okay, I've tried this, I've tried this. Did I miss something? Yeah, you should try. Oh, that's the one thing I forgot. Yeah, you don't want to hear, oh, is it plugged in? No.
No, and then Mike,
it really matters.
It's a very good point. I mean, we had a technical director that, he would drill into the guys on the phone here that it's okay to say to the end user, to the guy on the phone, saying, look, I don't know what's going on, but if you give me a minute, let me ask somebody.
Yeah.
Sometimes saying that I don't know the answer is the right answer. And I'm with you. I mean, when you call up and you're just reading from the manual, that gets frustrating. I mean, anybody can do that. Most people don't, but anybody can do that. The customer service has to improve for all those reasons you said, Mike. I mean, if you feel comfortable, if you can call us and you walk away with a great experience, you want to use us more. And come on, we're all coin operated. So everything that we can do to make your experience better is very important to us. Yeah. We do take service and support very seriously.
Yeah, and that's also been my experience, not just with Crestron, but other companies as well that are on that list. But a quick story: I have called the Chicago office more than once, and so much so that there are two service guys there that I've actually gotten to know very well. Their voices and everything. One's Peter and one's Julian. And he'll say, hey, this is Julian. I'm like, holy cow, and I'll just say, hey, Julian, it's Tim from Modern Communication. He's like, hey, how you doing? And we'll sit and BS for a second, and then I'll tell him, I didn't read the manual and I didn't plug it in. Go. So.
Yeah, and I'll tell you what, there's definitely one of the things that I think I take pride that Crestron does is that very thing. When you're calling into one of our support offices or when you're getting somebody, we're not trying to chit chat with you because we want to make you feel good. It's because we want you to feel comfortable. And as you just said, Tim, you got a couple of guys in this office and you've become comfortable with them and you feel like you can converse with them. And getting you guys to open up and talk to us is very important. It's honestly, it's one of the reasons why I can't do technical support. It's not because I can't talk on the phone.
Because you talk
It's because
too
I'm
much.
not that guy that can sit there and have you explain what your problem is and I know the answer. I'm that guy that if I'm standing in front of the gear, I'll be done in a few minutes and we'll have a beer together. I got to see it, right? So I give these guys a lot of credit to be able to systematically go through, situations that are causing heartache and come to resolution. And, if I could plead out to the world for you, the caller, don't wait until the smoke is leaving the boxes before you call us, right? Always call when you get into the pickle, not when the pickle is so, tightly wound around you that you feel like you have no escape. We're always here for you.
Yeah, that's very true. So, all right, guys. Last but not least, this is really, unless you guys want to comment on it, I think it's pretty cool, and I'll just mention it here. The Infocom is actually going to be at another show, not their show, but the USA Science and Engineering Festival happens April 25th, 26th, and 27th. It's happening at the Walter E. Washington Convention Center in D.C. This is a cool thing, and this is why I think this is a cool thing. This festival is strictly geared to promote science, engineering, technology, and math education. And according to their website, to inspire the next generation of leadership in those fields. In case you all missed the memo, we're in the STEM industry. That's the thing, is we do science and math and engineering and technology. So we are a part of the STEM, and anything that we can do as an industry and as individuals in the industry, I think is a good thing. And so good on Infocom for doing this. They're going to be at Hall A. Their booth is number 231 if you happen to be in the area or you happen to be going to the festival there. So
it's nice that they're actually doing a classroom too.
Yeah. Yeah, and they're sponsoring something called the Nifty 50, which is it's a school program actually, and it's for high school middle or high school. So that's kind of cool too. So
I think this actually goes back to the conversation we had earlier. It's if something like this can spark the communication in the education industry to say, hey, this is a real thing, this is a real career path. That would be fantastic. So, yeah, again, kudos to Infocom.
Yeah, absolutely. All right, gentlemen, that's going to do it for this week. With us has been Mr. Mike Faulkner. Mike is the manager of engineering services for AVTexture. Thank you, sir.
Sure. Thank you. It's been great.
And where can people find you or AVTexture?
AVTexture.com. I'm mike.faulkner@avtexture.com if you want to email me. Yeah, let's just stick with that.
Okay, that'll work. Kevin Iselli, Senior Curriculum Developer for Crestron Electronics. Thank you, sir.
Oh, you're welcome. Thanks for having me.
If you want people to find you and or Crestron, where would they do that?
The main website, of course, crestron.com, and I can usually be found at 36,000 feet.
Going between Chicago and Jersey, usually.
Yeah, somewhere.
Somewhere. Chicago and somewhere. My name's Tom Albright. Don't follow me. Go to the website, AVNation.tv. AVNation.tv. You'll find this program and a host of others. Good Lord Almighty. One of our cohorts, George Tucker, has actually just started yet another program on lighting with the lighting guy. So we have Pro Lighting. We've got our weekly AV Apps show with Matt Scott and Phil Cordell, the AV professional. So all sorts of things. We'll post a new education-focused program called EdTech this very next week. So yeah, go by the website, avnation.tv. avnation.tv. Thanks to Middle Atlantic and their technology pedestals, Middle Atlantic products. What great systems are built on. Thanks so much for listening. It's all the time we have for AV Week.